If you feel like you're doing everything right, working the hours, hitting the benchmarks, but you're still drowning at the checkout counter, it's not because you're bad with money. It is because the math of survival has been rewritten behind your back. The American dream didn't just disappear. It was harvested by a system that needs you exhausted, broke, and too tired to ask why a good salary now feels like a slow-motion trap. You are being priced out of your own life by an invisible architecture built to keep you on a treadmill. You did everything they told you to do. You paid attention in school, took on the debt to get the degree, ground your way through the entry-level jobs, and finally hit it. $100,000 a year. For our parents, that number was the finish line. It was the absolute symbol of the American dream. It meant a nice house with a yard, a couple of cars, summer vacations, and a deep, unshakable sense of security. But for you, right now, hitting that mark feels like a cruel joke. I need you to hear this right now and let it sink in. This is not your imagination. You are not going crazy. And most importantly, this is not your fault. The reality is that the goalposts haven't just been moved. They have been picked up, put on a rocket, and shot into orbit. You are actively being priced out of the economy of ownership by a system that was built while you were busy working. Let's look at the actual pulse of a typical bank account in 2024 to see where the blood is leaking out. Let's look at Alex. Alex is 32 years old, a smart, hard-working professional, pulling in $105,000 a year. 10 or 15 years ago, Alex is the king of his neighborhood. Today, let's look at what actually hits his bank account. After the government and insurance companies take their pound of flesh, Alex is lucky to see $5,500 hit his account. That sounds like a lot of money until the first of the month rolls around. Rent for a decent, safe apartment in a city where his job actually exists is $2,400. His car payment, plus the insurance to drive it legally, is another $700. He is paying $400 a month just to service the student loans that got him the job in the first place. Throw in groceries, electricity, internet, and basic utilities, which have all quietly doubled in price over the last few years. And that is another $1,200 gone. Before Alex has even had a chance to breathe, before he has bought a single birthday gift, taken a single vacation, or gone out to a nice dinner, he is left with about $800. Now, let's talk about the dream, the starter home. Right now, a basic entry-level house that requires some fixing up sits at about $420,000. To avoid massive penalties, Alex needs a 20% down payment. That is $84,000 in cold, hard cash. If Alex somehow manages to live like a monk and saves every single penny of that remaining $800 a month, it will take him nearly 9 straight years just to save the down payment. But here is the crushing reality of the math. In 9 years, that $420,000 house will not cost $420,000 anymore. It will be $600,000 or more. The dream is sprinting, and no matter how fast Alex runs, the math guarantees that he will never catch it. So what actually happens to that remaining money? Why doesn't Alex save it? Society will tell you it is because Alex has a spending problem. The internet will tell you he lacks discipline. That is missing the entire psychological reality of living in the modern world. Alex cannot save that money because of profound, bone-deep burnout. When you are working 50 to 60 hours a week, just to maintain a baseline of not drowning, your brain reaches a breaking point. Human psychology cannot sustain perpetual stress without demanding some form of relief. Silicon Valley knows this. They have mapped our nervous systems, They understand your exhaustion better than you do, and they have built the perfect, frictionless traps to catch that remaining money. DoorDash, Amazon Prime, streaming services, targeted social media ads. They know that you cannot afford the house, the boat, or the early retirement. So instead, they sell you the illusion of comfort. They sell you immediate convenience. When you order that overpriced meal on a Tuesday night, you are not buying food. You are buying back a tiny fraction of a dopamine hit to soothe the absolute desperation of your daily routine. You are purchasing a momentary escape from the reality that you are running on a treadmill that keeps getting faster. You are not bad with money. You are just a human being trying to cope with a system that demands everything and gives back almost nothing. But why did the treadmill speed up so aggressively? Why did the cost of a basic roof over your head jump by 40% in just a few years? The rules of the game just changed. We are moving into a world where everything you use is rented, and nothing you pay for is actually yours. They are turning the American life into a subscription service you can never cancel. Think about what happens right now when a house finally goes on the market. Alex walks in, holding his hard-earned pre-approval letter from a local bank. He is proud of it. But he is not bidding against another family who wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. He is bidding against an algorithm. A massive investment fund with billions of dollars in liquid capital drops an all-cash offer on the table before Alex even pulls his car out of the driveway. They waive the inspections. They close in 7 days. These institutions do not want to buy that house, so they can sell it to Alex later. They want to buy it so they can rent it back to him forever. The system is fundamentally shifting to ensure that you own absolutely nothing. You will subscribe to your software, you will lease your car, you will stream your music, and you will pay a premium to rent the very roof over your head. It is an invisible architecture designed entirely to siphon your daily life energy and convert it into a permanent, reliable yield for a corporate balance sheet. Here is the line in the sand. Being born into this specific economic era, being thrown into this specific trap, is absolutely not your fault. But the real danger isn't just the rigged system. It's the exhaustion that makes us feel like we have no other choice but to keep running a race we weren't meant to win. We have to completely reframe what winning looks like. We have to stop using our precious capital to chase an overpriced, artificially inflated asset just because a high school guidance counselor told us it was the right thing to do. Do you know the origin of the word mortgage? It comes from Old French. It literally translates to death pledge. You do not need a death pledge right now. What you need is to buy back your freedom. Walking away from the illusion of the traditional starter home is not a failure. It is not falling behind. It is a highly tactical retreat. It is looking the system in the eye and refusing to be a hostage to a 30-year debt cycle that forces you to stay in a job you hate. You change the rules of engagement. You focus everything on building a runway. If that means swallowing your pride and moving back into a multi-generational living situation with your parents at 30 years old, you do it. Society might try to shame you and call it a step backward, but wealthy families in Europe and Asia have been doing this for centuries. They do not call it falling behind. They call it building a multi-generational financial fortress. Instead of throwing $3,000 a month into a massive corporate landlord's pocket or paying 7% interest to a bank, you redirect the flow of water. You build defensive liquidity. You take your capital and you put it into assets that are highly liquid, entirely portable, and not locked behind real estate gates. You buy into the S&P 500. You accumulate high-quality exchange-traded funds. You explore hard assets like Bitcoin. You become your own personal central bank. The goal is to stockpile your capital and stay agile. You keep your money moving and accessible so that when this current, bloated economic cycle eventually breaks and resets, and math dictates that it always does, you are standing there with a war chest, ready to strike on your own terms. You are buying flexibility. You are buying the ability to say no to a terrible boss. You are buying back your life energy. While the old version of ownership is dead, a much more dangerous and potentially more powerful, game is just starting for those who know where to look. The ownership of your own time, your own mind, and your own future is just beginning. If you are ready to stop being a pawn on a board built by Wall Street, and you want to start building your own fortress of liquidity, subscribe to the channel. We are going to rewrite the rules together.